Welcome back to another episode of Real Business Owners with myself, Trevor Cowley. Today we have an incredible guest, Sean Martin. He's the author of Beyond the Bronx. He's been to prison, and I don't know if that's where you found your purpose or...
Ironically, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was literally thinking about that this morning, and I was like, man, everything that I'm doing right now came off of the back of me being at a low place. And I was sitting there thinking about how many people are wasting their have you ever heard the saying, don't ever waste a good crisis?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I haven't, but
so
yeah.
that's it. Like everybody's going to hit a point in life where they're going through like a crisis, where they hit the bottom, they hit this low point, right?
Right.
And it's really what you do right there that determines how your life ends up. Yeah. And it's like my life ended up being better because of the lows that I've experienced, because I was still willing to question myself, audit myself. I was self-aware, knowing that I needed to change and do something different, and was willing to go through the pain and that discomfort of different, right? Because it's just unfamiliar. So it's really
addicts, cool. I mean, they always use the term rock bottom, and I couldn't stand it because, you know, rock bottom's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. You could be rock bottom, you know, might be financial, might be lost love, it might be a loss of a child. It could be anything. Yeah. But it's in the darkest places where we sit sometimes, stewing in misery, uncertainty, doubt, shame, guilt, that we actually have nowhere to go but up, number one. Yeah. And if you have the power to change the perspective, I mean, you got limitless opportunity to dream. And that was where I dreamt my story that I get to live now. Was in a freaking prison cell in a black and white composition notebook, you know, about 15 years ago, because I had nothing to lose. But what I learned in that prison cell was I didn't have the distractions of the world anymore.
You were left with yourself and your thoughts.
There without alcohol, without drugs, without women, gambling, whatever vices, all of them. Yeah. And actually discover, who the hell am I? Yeah. And it took me a while. It took me a lot of books. It was picking up Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins in the prison cell, which really...
And now full circle, you're a part of his mastermind, $250,000 deep.
Got to tell him that story. Yeah. And man, it's just, that's the inspiration for what we're doing now. Yeah. It's knowing that that pain in perspective is actually purpose and fuel. Well, fuel to get to that purpose. You know, we've been fortunate to find it. Yeah. And it's always evolving. But man, for anybody going through it,
it's like when you find it, though, you want to share it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when you found a way to live and your life is better, it's more enhanced. Like people that feel good want other people to feel good. You know, it's like the trolls
feel
on
bad, want other people to feel bad.
The trolls on the internet, right? Yep. Like there's nothing.
Keyboard crusaders.
Exactly. You know, like hate. Right. I mean, all that does is show a reflection of their hate to themselves.
The worst comments, the worst joking comments, let's say on a post, those will have the most likes. Those will have the most replies. That'll push the post forward. I had my editor tell me early on social media. He's like, listen, you're not viral unless people are fighting in the comments. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's the place we've come to. And we're in a place of self-development and bettering people, using our story to give them power and purpose. And it sucks because that's probably one of the lowest attention-grabbing things on the poll.
It's a low-frequency thing, but there's so many people vibrating at such a low frequency that it pulls those people in. Yeah. That's the problem. But at the end of the day, I just think that we're both out here trying to serve us 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because I was at a low point. It was self-improvement. It was information that I was absorbing through books, through podcasts, then joining masterminds. Like it was this gradual step of knowledge or information that continued to evolve into then surrounding myself, just like you do with Tony Robbins, with the people that I was reading about or listening to, that I was like, man, now I'm in proximity of these people. And I'll never forget one dude that I met at a mastermind. He's on TVs and one of the reality shows like The Real Housewives of Orange County. He was one of the husbands. Okay. You know, so he was a cool dude. But as I was talking to him one time, he had a fat old booger just hanging out of his nose. And I was just sitting there staring at it. And I'm like, this dude is as human as me. Yeah. He can have a booger hanging out the side of his nose just like anybody else. It doesn't matter whether he's on TV. Doesn't matter how much money he has. it humanized him to a point where everybody's equal.
Yeah, I've goosebumps now because I've met some people that have met me, and they thought I was, they put me here, and God bless, I'm blessed to be considered in that light. But when they got to chatting with me, I'm like, oh, it's a regular fucking guy.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to portray. Like, there's nothing special about me. Look over here. Look what I've done. But look at my past so that you can understand that it's possible for anybody.
Just this morning, I shared a story. I'm staying at my buddy's house in Hurricane and Hurricane. I don't know how they pronounce it.
Hurricane.
All right.
So I had a huge debate with people from out of town because it just spells
I learned
Hurricane.
It's not Boise, it's Boise.
Yeah. So it depends on where you're from, how you pronounce it. We had such an argument with a dude, and he moved here. He's like, you guys are all so redneck, hillbilly. It's not Hurricane, it's Hurricane because it's spelled hurricane.
There's an E at the end.
And so we debated on it for weeks, kind of just giving each other shit. And I said, let's call the city offices and see how they answer that fucking phone. City of Hurricane. And I was like, he goes, that's just another redneck hillbilly that doesn't know how to pronounce words. And so, but yeah, it's hurricane, whatever.
Yeah, what is it? Potato,
yeah,
man.
Exactly.
So, I mean, listen, vulnerability is the one thing that I think people don't realize, right? You hold people on this pedestal, and social media, unfortunately, is a highlight reel. So I've made it my mission to just show the whole process, good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, with respect to my relationship with my wife and children, I will get out and share that, hey, shit's not easy. We're going through some things, but out of respect, you can't share too much. But when it comes to me, this morning, I shared a really heartfelt message because I'm going through it right now. I'm going through it because I'm growing by leaps and bounds, and it's just not comfortable. As you know, you're doing this amazing half marathon a day. And those first dozen, those first few months.
Nah, bro, it's like the first 6 or 7 months.
Well, I was going to keep going. I was going to keep going.
It got dark.
And I can't tell you that there's not a day that you wake up and you're like, there's going to be days where you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I let people know that, but I reach into gratitude, even when there's sadness, even when there's uncertainty, even when there's no clear path forward. We're thankful for the obstacles. We're thankful for the challenges because we've already been to a place where it felt hopeless. And I'll never go there again.
But we've also have the data of all of our previous obstacles have only ended up in massive blessings to our life. So it's easier to have that perspective when you're younger and you're trying to fight, you're swimming upstream, and you're just like, what's the point of this fight,
This thing right here, man, I mean, it is such a blessing.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine growing up with this tool.
No. Yeah.
Because it's about the biggest distraction. Even we're guilty. We succumb to it.
Yeah.
Dopamine hits. We're always looking to check an email, check a phone call, check a... Yeah, I don't have the notifications on my social. At least,
no, me neither. But we kind of want to have a pulse on things a little bit, and at the same time, I've thought about the fact that I'm like, dude, I'm a pretty disciplined person.
Right.
Like I have the ability to curb my impulses. Like I have solid impulse control in terms of my spending, in terms of the way that I live my life, the way I move my body, all that. And I'm like, even if with that level of discipline and structure in my life, still succumb to it. What happens to people that don't have discipline?
Yeah.
Like that, it's got to be 8, 9, 10 hours a day on social media or phone in their hand. I would have
to say it feels impossible.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah.
Because, how do I put this, right? Without being disrespectful. I have people in my family and my old circle that I love to death, man.
Yeah.
But they just can't let go of that.
That
belief system that this is what it is. Yeah. And then it turns into blame.
Yeah.
And even with the phone, as strong as you are, you say, oh, this shit gets me sometimes. Yeah. But you don't start blaming the phone. You don't start blaming technology. You look back to yourself for the answer. And unfortunately, people aren't looking to themselves for the answer. They're looking for excuses, and they're readily available.
They want to find ways to validate why they are where they are rather than stop tolerating where they are and make
that'll validate that as well.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, I have left behind so many good friends.
Yeah, me too.
Friends from that era of my life where it was partying and let's fucking drink till 2 a.m, watch UFC, keep going, wake up, mimosas, and just keep going.
It's a whole couple days.
And when I decided to get sober, and when I decided to go on this mission, it was radio silence, man.
Yeah,
they can't cheer for you. They can't find it in themselves to cheer for you because they just don't understand it.
No.
They don't understand. and they won't sit you down and ask you, hey, listen, I don't understand what you're doing right now. It looks cool, because they have to find a way to stay in that bubble they've created for themselves, and you're no longer fitting in there. Well, so they're not going to ask you anything, because the truth is they're so uncomfortable with themselves.
Yeah.
They can't come to grips with it.
They don't want to understand.
Yeah.
It's easier to talk shit, and they say that people talk shit on what they don't understand. If their level of comprehension can't wrap around what it is that you're doing, talk shit on it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I had a colleague / friend, I thought, and it came to my attention that they were like, nah, he'll be back, because I'm transitioning from a very successful business that didn't do much for me in terms of this.
Fulfillment.
But it did provide resources. It did provide freedom, and then that freedom allowed me to build myself now.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to build myself in a prison cell. I built the ideas in a prison cell. I came home and built successful businesses, and then I bought my freedom, and then I went on this mission. But like to your point, these young kids, they're so freaking distracted, and they feel so hopeless. And we're in this mental health crisis, but it's a movement crisis. You guys aren't doing anything to move life forward.
Yeah.
So it's crazy when I come out here to Utah. I wasn't very familiar with the Mormons. I knew of the Mormons. I knew of LDS, right?
Yeah.
But then I meet, through Zenith, I meet Pace Morby and Chad Willardson and Josh Zaglowski and all these amazing guys with 4 and 5 and 6 kids, and they're all about family. And they're great entrepreneurs, and they lead with their hearts. And then I learned why. They're built on a culture and a foundation of family, faith, and finances, because you've got to provide for that family, right? So,
especially if you got 6 of them.
It's been such an eye-opener, dude. Yeah. I'm telling you, I always joke, are you guys accepting converts? And it's like, of course, everybody's welcome.
Well, how many children do you have?
Not enough.
There's a qualification of 5 at least. If it can't fill up a hand, bro, we're not giving you a hand.
I'm a slacker, dude. Apparently, I got a long ways to go with only 3.
It's too strong, bro. You can't make it in that club.
I like See, I was going to we talking about best behavior when the cameras were on.
I told you.
All right, good.
I told you, no best behavior here. We just have fun with it, you know. So let's break down your story just a little bit.
Sure, man.
Obviously we've already alluded to, some time in prison. How much time did you spend in
2 years? 20 months more specifically. Did a bid on a violation as well. So 25 months all in.
Yeah.
So, nothing to be proud of, but definitely some great things came about.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So after that, did you come out and was there a bunch of debt and responsibilities that felt almost overwhelming? Like, I'm never going to be able to get myself out of this situation? Or did you come out just extremely focused and ready to go?
I was fortunate because I had love waiting for me. So I met my wife, or my now wife, about a year and change before going in. And I kid you not, our first date was 11/11. I didn't know it at the time. It was no magic. It was just coincidence, right?
Yeah, you weren't a numerology.
I wasn't even a believer. Now I'm a believer in everything.
Exactly. When you start elevating yourself, you look for any signs to affirm your beliefs.
222 on the phone. It's 444. It's 555. Look, God's looking out for me. And I always think,
what does it hurt?
Is that imagined?
What does it hurt somebody to have those little teeny signs where you tell yourself, man, everything's going to be okay. Like, I'm having a good, there's little signs that I'm on the right path. Like, why don't we utilize things like that just as a way to reaffirm? And I've even told Nick, I'm like, bro, it's 11/11. Getting it, it's 111 or whatever. And people would laugh at me or whatever. And I'm like,
took this picture today.
Exactly. 11/11, bro.
Sent to the wife.
I love anything that's considered out there or weird. And I think more people need to be more open-minded to stuff like that.
It's what you truly, it's the perception of it.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about rock bottom. So early on, when I knew I was going to prison, I was still in the throes of drug abuse and alcoholism and partying, and kind of just hoping things would go away. And when it came time to face the music,
how old were you?
I was 29.
Okay.
And I narrated it early on. I said, you know what, bro? This is going to be the best thing that ever happened for you. A bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
But I started to believe it. I started to believe it a little more. And then the actions start to show up that support that belief. Mm-hmm. You start to pick up books. And then your deepest, darkest time in a cell, you're reading, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. You're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm reading the Dalai Lama. I'm reading anything I can get my hands on to now open my mind to the possibility of more.
Yeah.
And it was in the cell about, I want to say a year in, that I start in this composition, black and white, old school notebook like we had in elementary school. And I start just saying, all right, in 1 year, I'm going to do this. In 2 years, I'm going to do this. I was meticulous about the discipline, even behind bars. I had little checklists, brush your teeth, floss twice a day. Like there was nothing else to do.
You designed a day.
I designed a day, just like we do out here.
Yeah.
Well, like the successful people do.
Yeah.
So I was a successful inmate.
Yeah.
In terms of
rehabilitating self to really rehabilitate.
There's nothing. I mean, listen, I'll give credit where credit's due, right? They do provide programs. The environment isn't one that nurtures change because the inmates in there don't nurture change. But there's counselors, there's programs, and in prison is where I learned emotional intelligence, ironically enough. I learned that, anger wasn't just anger. Anger was disappointment. Leading to resentment and envy and all the other things that say, and I can't understand this, I can't process this, I don't have the tools, fuck it, I'm going to lash out.
Yeah.
And that is how you get to anger. I didn't know that. An
emotion surfaces and you just honor the emotion and when there's one step further, why am I feeling angry right now?
Right.
Well, I'm disappointed that this person did that and I didn't expect them to do that. So therefore my disappointment's going to show up. And then it goes
deeper than that because then you gotta peel back the layers of your childhood.
Yeah.
And I learned later on, more recently, that we're all running a program, just like a computer. And the older the computer and the older the software, the more likely you're gonna have that fucking blue screen pop up and have to hit Control Alt Delete to restart. And at some point, the shit won't restart anymore.
Yeah.
It's just done. And the same can be said for people and their belief systems. They're instilled between the ages of 0 to 7. We're running a program that were given to us by our caretakers. So if our caretakers were abusive or of a scarcity mindset, or maybe they just weren't loving, or maybe they were in a business relationship of a marriage, it is very likely that you are going to carry that forth. And then not to get too woo-woo or too political, coming from a community of color, I'm Dominican-American, my mother's from the Dominican Republic, my father's from Puerto Rico. Well, my father was born in New York City, but his parents are from Puerto Rico. So I grew up around a lot of African Americans as well. So when I say people of color, it's more like a New York City thing, right? Hispanics, blacks, we grow up together. We've been generationally together for the most part in New York, whereas immigrant populations come in, settle into a neighborhood, lift each other up. Right? We didn't have that. So you're actually carrying genetically, there's some proof that says you're carrying genetic trauma. So, I mean, there's all kinds of shit you got to work through. But what are you going to do? Use it as an excuse or are you going to use it as fuel? And fortunately, I've been able to escape a lot of that mindset despite being surrounded by it because my mother taught me something early on. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. And that shit's carried me through some dark times. And now it's my job to be the light for the guy that I was, the kid that I was. So, my goal is to take my story, which unfortunately, because I've been in prison, gives me credibility. If I was just a guy who went to school and, was humdrum in a corporate life and wasn't happy, because I'm all those things too. Nobody's listening. Or maybe some people are listening.
Show me your battle scars.
Exactly.
Same
as you, man. When I read your profile and when we spoke on the phone, it's like, holy shit, heroin addict. This guy's running half a marathon every day. That's fucking incredible. And before we roll the cameras, I'm like, I'm interviewing you now. These are the stories I want to hear because these are the stories that inspire people who feel hopeless. And it takes courage to go on these missions because people are going to fucking try to shit on us. But we do it anyway. Because those aren't our people. That's not our audience.
But I would say that that's one of the hardest parts that you'll have to overcome is the opinions of others because at a low frequency, you're kicking it with those that's your tribe. You're literally basically back in the day leaving your tribe and going into no man's land to try to find yourself and maybe create your own tribe or find new people. But you can't find new people if you stay in your tribe. And that's the problem is, people grow up in these environments and eventually they succumb to the environment. They look around and say, okay, this is normal. This is what it is. This is generationally how we live. We live in this building, is what it is. And this is our block, and this is it's a form of acceptance rather than as they say, you get what you tolerate, right? Like they're okay tolerating that because they've just absorbed it and accepted it.
And now we've switched it to blame.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, nobody's coming to save anybody.
Yeah.
No matter where they're from.
Yeah.
We've got to save ourselves. So I feel like I've got to be that example. And it took me going to jail. It took me then becoming successful and moving away. It took me getting sober. It took me getting in the best shape of my life at 47.
It took you leaving your old friends.
It took a lot.
You know.
And people think that they're going to get these great outcomes without the struggles. The quicker that you can embrace the fact that it's going to be hard and it's going to be worth it if you want this thing, whatever it may be $100,000 a year for somebody. It may be $500,000. It may be $1 million when we're talking business. It may be a successfully happy family and marriage for some people with a solid living and put their kids through school. Whatever it is, it's not going to be easy. And I think that we've perpetuated, because of the highlight reels and social media and advertising and commercials and all the other shit that we're subject to, this belief that success is attainable for people that half-ass things. And it's not. No. You've got to get up every day, and there's going to be bad days. But for the most part, you've got to string together a hell of a lot more good days than bad days.
Well, you have to be obsessed about it. Just like at a certain point, you got obsessed about bettering yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You immersed yourself in it. Like, I am obsessed about breaking the world record. I mean,
what's the world record, by the way? How many days?
When I started, it was 235, and then a couple months in, it got broke to 555.
Okay,
and then I was almost to day 300, and it got broke again to 602. So it keeps getting pushed back.
You got comp out there right now.
So originally, it was supposed to be for a year. So I was going to do 365 because it was only 235. I was like, oh,
I'll throw 50% on that.
I'll blow that out of the water. Nobody's going to touch it. Homeboy goes and gets 555, and I'm like, oh shit. And dude, those were some dark days because, you know, sometimes we create these benchmarks that we think that this is the halfway point or this is that, and then circumstances or situations outside of our control come in and say otherwise. So, you know, and so
let me ask you, when did you realize that there was no halfway point? When did you finally get the whole cliche that the journey is endless? There's no ending.
Yeah.
That was supporting that narrative real fast.
Yeah, it definitely supported that theory. And it was the second time that it got bumped. You know, the first time I was like, okay, that really sucked. I'll do 600 days and beat his 555, you know. And then I was getting close to that 300-day mark. I'm like, I'm almost halfway. I think I even made a post like, I'm 3 days away from halfway or whatever, like celebrating a false benchmark that's about to be moved back. And that's just part of success. That's part of obsession. That's part of chasing greatness, is that there's going to be situations or circumstances that aren't in your control that will try to knock you off, but you still have the ability to make the decision to continue to move forward. So I got to the point where it was like, okay, is it a certain amount of days that I'm shooting for, or is it the world record? So I've got to stop counting days and just submit to the process, surrender to it. This is my lifestyle now. It might be just 2 years. It might be 3 years. I don't know, and I really don't care. You know, at this point, this is my life. My entire life is built around my running.
Stole my question. I was going to ask you. Are you kind of happy that someone came in and fucked that belief up for you? Because what would have happened if you reached that goal?
Well, so here's the deal, bro. I sent the guy a message.
Nice.
And I said, congratulations. You know, I gave him his flowers and all that. And then I said, thank you. Thank you for forcing me to get better and pulling the better version of me out, because I'm more committed than ever now. Awesome. Like if you frustrate me, all you're going to do is make me commit even harder.
Right.
Like, you have something that I want. And so I'm going to come take it. So at the same time, about a week after that, I'm on a phone call with somebody. Man, I heard about that. I'm sorry. And I said, I'm not. I said, it's what people don't understand. It's a huge blessing. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, imagine if I would have got to day 365 and I had the world record, but 3 months later, somebody comes by and posts up 555.
Right.
I said, they're doing me a favor because they're pushing it back so far that by the time I get it, it's going to be such a long amount of time that the next person that looks at it says, do I really want to give up 2 or 3 years of my life for that? Right. Because if I would have saw that on day one, looking it up, I probably would have succumbed just to the number itself and been like, I'm not going to give 2 years of my life to that. That I just can't do that. I wouldn't have been able to wrap my mind or comprehension around me doing that. Right. So the blessing was the original number was so low that I thought it was attainable. So I started to chase it. And then I was in the middle of the chase, not even in the middle. I was a couple months in. So that number got me started. Then it got pushed back. And then I went through the low period of second guessing, doubting, like, am I really ready to do this now for a year and a half or 2 years rather than just a year I committed to? Having to think about my wife and kids and everybody else that it impacts, and I was like, I'm just going to keep showing up. I'm not going to make a decision while I'm in a dark or low place that might just be temporary, but I make a forever decision based upon a temporary emotion. So 3 or 4 days later, I said, fuck that guy. I'm taking it. Right. I sent him a message too. Is it like
friendly rivalry at this point, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I said, I respect what you did because I know what you went through. And there's very few of us that understand, so there is a weird, to me anyways, maybe not to them. They probably hate me, for chasing down what they worked so hard for. But to me, it's like, there's an unspoken bond between people that deep down have a knowing of what they went through, and it's very few. I mean, it's a handful of people on planet Earth that can both really understand each other in terms of what the mornings look like, the weather look like, the pain, the sickness, all of the things that you had to endure. I understand that. So I told them, like, dude, I respect what you did. Like, I totally, like, I'm going through it right now.
That's the proximity thing, but working in your favor, because unfortunately we were talking about people that feel hopeless and they have I had it worse than you party. Oh, well, you want to hear my shitty story? And then but it's like sinking them lower.
Yeah.
Whereas this is rising everybody involved up because you're just, and that's the thing about successful people. Unsuccessful people create this story about people that have created any kind of success, right? Whether it be monetary, familial, emotional, whatever kind of thing they're striving
body. For. Oh, they got anything, genetics, right? Blah, steroids, whatever, right?
If they just ask the right questions to those people, they would be pleasantly surprised of how willing they are, or we are, let's say, to help you. It's built in our DNA to lift others up and be of service.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I've been so blessed. It's because even in the prison cell, I wrote the real purpose of my life is to lift others up. Now, I wasn't able to realize that until recently, about 3 years ago when I got sober and I got over myself. But it was implanted in my heart a very long time ago. Yeah. And then I got around all these people that are all being of service and adding value. You told me about your business model, and it was based on filling a need and adding value.
Yep.
And that is truly the way. So people that don't have resources can be resourceful. Find a way to add value to whoever it is that you want to get next to.
Yeah.
Or even the people next to them.
Yeah.
And work your way in. Anything else is just a fucking excuse.
Yeah.
Because people want to help, man. People that are successful have not always been successful. We're not talking about old money. We're not talking about people that come from
89% of millionaires didn't inherit a dime.
There you go. They came from nothing.
And
most of the people that do inherit it, we know within a few generations are going to lose it.
Yeah.
And, that's why I always say, right, you got this political climate in the United States. Parties be damned, I could care less. But it's just, it's
exhausting even hearing political parties. Like, it's just kind of
a fucking better time. Ever in the history of the world.
Yeah.
But people don't want to see it that way. And unfortunately, the narratives dissuade them from seeing it that way. But that's an excuse too.
Yeah.
Because you have a phone that can send you to, fucking another planet. It has that kind of processing power, but you use it for all the wrong things to distract you.
It's a tool.
And it's never been easier. And I always say this, right? I live in a suburban neighborhood where people are considered, I want to say upper middle class, right? I might be considered the rich kid in my neighborhood, but we don't really care for it. Because we come from nothing. And we have nice things. I love nice things, but they don't drive me. And I always say the American dream is alive and well for those who have never had a taste of it. And a lot of the people in my neighborhoods, they've kind of rested on their laurels. Maybe their grandparents or their grandparents' parents worked their ass off as immigrants. They busted their ass. They handed it to the kids. And then through generations, you get a little entitled.
Weaker.
You get a little weaker. Now you're just holding on. So again, political parties be damned, left, right, I don't care. But people that have had it for generations feel like something's being taken from them. People that have never had it have two things. They either feel like the American dream is alive and well because they've never tasted it and they go on the journey, or they start to have the pity party and just use every excuse.
It's impossible. I'm swimming upstream.
But here's what I tell kids when I speak to them, because I like to do a lot of work in the community, at-risk youth, kids that are in parole or some kind of paperwork to stay clean or they go to jail. And what I tell them is, listen, you're building a resilience that your counterparts don't have. So I know right now it feels like you're fucking helpless and you're in a hole. Let's be real. You're digging yourself out of a hole, whether your parents were in the hole or you're going to have to fight to get out of the hole. It doesn't matter
how you got there.
But when you get to that hole and you finally see out, you're going to be so much stronger than those kids that didn't have to go through what you went through.
Bro, I've said the same thing, is if you're right here and this is the status quo, and you have to fight to get there, and this person didn't, guess who has fight in them now?
Yeah.
When you finally make the level, the playing field level, you have the work ethic, and then time is just only going to take care of you.
Right.
And you got to a level playing field on the back of work ethic. Right. They got there just because they were already there.
Right. They just settled for an easier starting point.
But why does it matter if we're running a marathon? Why does it matter if you start at the 20-mile mark and I start at the 26? You might only have to run 20 to get to the finish line. I might have to run 26. Why am I worried about what you have to do when my goal is to get to the finish line?
Right.
Why do I care where you start? Where you start or don't start doesn't affect me. I have to focus on where I'm at and what I have to do to get where I'm trying to go. But everybody else is measuring what everybody else has and their starting points. And how does that serve you? How does that make progress? It doesn't. You're utilizing the most precious resource that you have, which is your thoughts, your energy, and you're pointing them at why you can't rather than what are the things that are in your control that you can do? What's one domino that if you just made fall right now that would make other things fall? And it's you focusing on yourself, up-leveling you, which changes your perspective. If your perspective change and you get what you tolerate, then you tolerate less. And then ultimately your decisions are different because you're like, I'm not going to tolerate that. I don't want that life, or I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to drink till 3 a.m. to feel the shitty day the next. Like, you're starting to make decisions based upon how you feel and the goals and the results that you want for your life. And as you continue just to level up as a human being, by default, your actions just follow suit.
Your standards are raised, and it's an identity shift.
Exactly.
And that's what happened for me in prison. I started to create an identity of a completely different human being.
Yeah.
When I hit the streets, I'll be remiss to tell you that it all worked out, because there were so many gravitational forces and bad behaviors and old school thinking and stupid thinking that continued throughout my life.
That world wanted you still. Tug of war, bro.
Still tugs at me.
Still tugs. It will forever tug. The devil is alive and well.
But your identity is truly what pulls you toward what it is that you've created for a vision for your life. And that's what I think a lot of people, I've had a lot of, people with side hustles, and maybe they have a job and they have a little side hustle and they're making a couple grand or maybe even 10, 20 grand, whatever a year. God bless. But the thing they don't understand, they're always trying to learn the business knowledge. And I'm telling them, as much as you think it's the numbers and the strategy, there's something inside of you that still feels unworthy. There's something inside of you that still says, I'm not going to pick up that drink this weekend. I'm not going to wait for 5 o'clock to check out. You have to change your identity around this. So for me, one of the most powerful stories, when I stopped drinking, I went to AA afterward, right? I checked myself into rehab. I tell the story all the time. My wife one morning, she's like, hey, your breath smells like alcohol. At this point, I'm drinking every day.
You're like Listerine.
Yeah. Fucking ironically enough, it's morning. I don't drink in the morning. That was my excuse. And I never did. But I would drink to the point where your mouth starts to take on that smell. So my wife kisses me in the morning. She goes, your breath smells like alcohol. Thank God. She has the courage to tell me something finally. And I was like, no, I just washed my mouth out with Listerine. So that's probably what you're smelling. And she's like, no, bro. It smells like alcohol.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed internally. I didn't fight her. I wasn't in denial. I decided I was going to check myself into detox because I had tried quitting, and I was a full-blown alcoholic at that point. Very highly functional one. But it was one night that I was 4 days into not drinking. I said, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink. And the butterflies, the withdrawal starts coming. I can't sleep, bro. It's like a cat is inside of your belly, just tearing it up. And I just got up, took a shot of Tito's at like 12:30. Because I was so
just like
embarrassed with myself.
Yeah.
That struggle. So I checked in about a month later because I run a business. They say, you're going to be here for about 6 days. Me being me, I refuse all the medication. I said, I just can't sleep. I don't get the shakes. I don't get any other stuff. I'm pretty blessed. She's like, you've drinking a lot, Mr. Martin, for the last few years of your life. And I said, listen, just give me the allergy pill that they prescribed to help you sleep. And it worked. And I was out in, I believe, 3 nights. I got to go back. But I think that checked in Friday morning, and I was gone by Monday afternoon. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 3 nights. So when you decide to change your identity, and here's where it gets interesting, you're going to be at odds with a lot of other people's perspectives. So I don't know if you've ever done.
You shared an identity with them, right, that you made an invisible contract with them of who you are. Right. And when you don't honor that contract with them, shit can get hairy.
So I go into AA, I go into aftercare, both group, individual. I do the 2 times a week, virtual, and I'm paying out of pocket to keep going. So it's like personal development for somebody in recovery, right? And the 6 months of AA, I landed in a group called 164 Group. And I'm glad I did because they're what they call the big book thumpers. Hardcore, like religious zealots, but for AA. This is the only way that you can stay sober, and there's no other fucking way.
Yeah,
and
if you leave us,
that's pretty rigid.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. I'm starting to discover Tony Robbins, and I found my sponsor, a guy I liked, and we were at odds because he's not trying to hear the things I'm trying to do. Everything's regurgitated from the book.
And 12-step, whatever.
Listen, God bless that program.
Yeah.
I always take the time to give a disclaimer. That program has saved more lives than I can ever hope to. Yeah. And God bless them. Yeah. But it doesn't work for everybody.
No.
They need the box. I'm about as far from a box as possible. And on the 6th month, I get my coin. I go to the front of the room. I get a big hug from the person hosting. And I go back. Yeah, sure, you're halfway there. Bro hug, slaps, all that. I get back to the chair. And I sit down, and they're like, Sean. And I'm like, oh, get up. Yeah, my name is Sean, and I'm an alcoholic. It's the last time I went to AA because I didn't identify as that anymore. And the one thing with that problem is we're alcoholics. So the reason we do this, the reason we can't be trusted is because we're alcoholics. Listen, you're trying to fucking run from the thing you're identifying as. That couldn't be any more counterintuitive. And again, God bless them. If it works for you, great. But you're more likely to fucking slip back up if you consider yourself an alcoholic. So I know guys 15 years sober, and then they fucking go and they relapse. And there were guys in there for 30 years, bro. The last time they had a drink was in a jail cell in like county when they were 17.
But they're still an alcoholic.
Still in recovery. You haven't found anything else.
Decades.
Yeah, dude.
You're hanging your hat on the fact that you were an alcoholic 30 years ago.
Just be honest.
Quit celebrating something 30 years ago that changed your life. What are you doing right now?
Got stuck in a news story.
Dude, I've said this on previous podcasts.
Yeah. Oh.
I've said that exact.
You kind of like, here we go.
Yep.
Shit.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, now. Bro,
speaking your language,
I feel like I'm speaking to myself.
How long
to a certain extent? 18 years in July.
Wow. And how do you view that? 17. Are you still in recovery, or No, again?
I don't sell it, bro. I went to the mountains and got clean in a camp trailer where there was no cell service. There was no way off the mountain, right? Like, and as I was going through the withdrawals of heroin. Like, I just made a commitment right there that it was like, I will never do anything that puts me through this much pain ever again. Yeah. And when I came off that mountain, there was no turning back because it was like, I finally got on the other side of it. Yeah. It was just, and I tried to quit. I don't think people understand, like, addicts really don't want to be an addict.
I'm pouring the drink. I don't want to fucking
There's
drink.
Guilt, there's shame. You know that you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. You're not living up to your potential, all of that. But then you go 2 or 3 days and it's just the pain is too great. It's like somebody that has a blistering headache. You're probably going to go see if you can get a Tylenol or some migraine medicine just to blunt the pain. But like there's nothing there to blunt that pain except for the thing, whether it's alcohol or whether it's heroin or whatever. But when I got on the other side of it, bro, there was no, I didn't step foot in NA or AAs or none of that stuff. And again, I've said this also, I have nothing against it. It's almost like I related to this. There's God, and then there's a bunch of different religions. Like, who am I to say that they shouldn't go to this place on Sunday to fill their cup and fill what they're trying to fill, but they should go to this place to do it? I don't care how you do it. Go do the thing that you need to do that you know is best for you, no matter the source that you go to stay grounded, right? Like, if it's NA, go to NA.
God as you understand them is one of the first. Pass that book. I want to read this to you. It's actually my my opener. And I start the book acknowledgments like this, right? Before anything else, I want to thank the source, God, the all-knowing vibration that moves through everything, whether we see it or not. The truth is, none of us knows how all of this works, but somewhere between faith and proof, in that space where we choose to believe, that's where the magic happens, and that's where life starts to make sense. And in the book of AA,
I love that.
The 12 steps, God as you understand them. And unfortunately, people stick to what they know, and that's all that makes sense. And that's why we are in this political climate, because if you believe this, that's the only way. If you believe that, that's the only way. And none of it's true. Yeah. It's just what you chose to believe.
Yeah.
And
do your beliefs serve you? Do you like the way that you feel? Do you like the way that you're living? Yeah. You've got to go one step further. Are your beliefs serving you? Right. And then you have to be honest when you ask that question to yourself. It's just that deep honesty.
One of the first things people can do when they're suffering with anything is serve someone else first. Because if you feel unworthy with yourself, sometimes we don't even serve ourselves or our own best interests. Or maybe we don't know what those are. So do something outside of yourself. Just be kind.
Yeah.
Like, I literally am kind to everybody I come in contact with. And imagine me walking around fucking Utah. I stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But wherever I go, there's a laugh, there's a smile, there's an exchange of humanity, and it lowers people's guards.
You're sharing a higher frequency with somebody.
They can't resist it.
And dude, you can't. You can't. Like, when you're vibrating at everybody has been around somebody that they're like, dude, they're just different. And in reality, they just built themselves differently through their actions. And so their actions and their belief system is really what's vibrating at an extremely high level. I like some of the stuff that you said, like, oh, well, it might not make sense,
right,
or whatever it is. And I've told people, even with the half marathon thing, they're like, well, why are you doing it? And it's very difficult to pinpoint just like one why. But I go back to, when I was running 10 miles a day for a year, when it came to the end in December, I'm a big believer that as long as you do spend enough time alone, you'll receive downloads. I call them downloads, not just thoughts.
Yeah.
It just, something random comes out of nowhere. Just, oh, I should do this. And it's like, where did that come from? I don't know. It came from a source that has to be greater than myself. How was I out on a run in December and had this download, look up the world record for the most half marathons? And I looked it up, and it felt like it was achievable. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. Like, I really want to scratch this itch, because something gave me that thought. And most people have thoughts like, I need to better my life, or I need to do this, or I need to change. And they go to bed and they do nothing with it. And they wake up to the same day the next day, and then distract themselves from that thought. And so they don't go down the path. What I've been experiencing is operating in faith. I believe that I am supposed to do this. That is a belief that I do have. Do I understand why? No. But most people have to understand why or the outcome and have some sort of certainty prior to making the move. Being bold means that you're making a move when there's uncertainty that you're going to have to go through. It's not considered bold. You're not living a bold life if there's always certainty. You have to step into the unknown. And so what's the definition of operating in faith? Being uncertain, but having a faith that you're still walking the right path. And I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to meet on this journey. I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of it. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this because my son's in the home and I'm supposed to set an example. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to live a life that enhances other people's lives and my life is supposed to have meaning. But maybe what if the meaning that I have here, it's not about me doing something great. Maybe it's me doing something great to be an example to my son. And he's the one that then runs off and does something incredible. But I was the match. I don't know how it will come to fruition, but I know for a fact if I honor this and surrender to the process, only good things will come from it. And I'm open just to receive whatever those are. And I will go through any amount of suffering based upon my curiosity. I want to see what's on the other side of it. I was given this premonition or this download, and it's like, I just want to follow something with a high level of uncertainty behind it, but just surrender in faith. Yeah. And I feel like it's really one of the first times in my life that it's like, I don't have all the answers of why, right, but I have a deep knowing that I should be doing it. Right. You know what I mean? And
no, I do. I appreciate the honesty because I'm at a point now where there's days when I just don't know why I'm doing it. I know I'm supposed to be the light. I know what I bring to the table. I know that my energy is unique. I know that God planted and built me specifically for this. But then there's also the trying to make sense of it because I haven't fully surrendered yet, if we're being honest, right?
Yeah.
And that is the next step for me, and I know it. It's to surrender to faith.
Yeah.
Because we start to align ourselves with thoughts that support those gut feelings, those downloads, right? So we joked about seeing 11:11 or 2:22 or 4:44.
Yeah.
And we start to look for things that support us on the path.
Correct.
Because there is no proof. So we start to create proof of our own or things that make sense for us to keep going. Yeah. Because we know we never want to feel like that again. And I always say the only time that we should be looking in the rearview mirror is to see how far we've come.
Yeah.
Not to hold on to what happened to us or some bad shit that we did. Because to some extent, we can't undo a lot of that, right? We can apologize if we did something ugly. Most cases, not always, but creating a life that inspires others is
I don't think there's anything more noble than that, dude.
Listen, we're in Mormon country. Jesus Christ, believe it or not, he gave you the rules for living.
Mm-hmm.
AA 12 steps, rules for living. Personal development, Tony Robbins, down to fucking Ed Milet, down to who's the doctor now that's really popular. Oh, my God. Dispenza.
Yeah.
All the same thing.
All of it.
Stated different ways through different messengers, resonate with different people, trying to change lives.
Yep.
And there's this butterfly effect and the ripple effect of being in these rooms and meeting these people and Justin saying, hey, I'm just going to come out here and meet Justin and hang out, for a little bit, do a podcast. All of a sudden I got 4 now.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, if you're coming out here, I'm going to connect you with my guys.
Yeah.
And
then here we are.
I mean, that is the magic of being on a frequency of a higher level, and it's attainable and it's available to anybody, but you've got to get out of your own way.
I will say this. The process is confusing, but it will leave clues. You just heard what he just said. He joined Tony Robbins' Zenith Master, paid $250,000, knows a guy here in town, good friend. Justin's been on the podcast a couple times. And it's like, there's little clues that are, hey, I'm going to come out there. Oh, I'm lining you up with 4 different podcasts.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's a reaffirming that you're on the right path. Do you still know exactly where the destination is or who cares? As long as you focus on being the best you every day. For me, that gives me the peace and the knowing that my future is brighter than ever. And I don't have to measure it based upon a certain result financially or a certain percentage of body fat. Or I honestly think that people go into things, wanting to change for a better result. And I think putting all the weight on just a specific result is dangerous. Somebody goes, I'm going to lose 60 pounds. You go to the gym and you've lost 30, but guess what? Now the hard work kicks in. The first 30 is easy to drop.
Easy, especially
now your body.
I used to weigh 350 pounds. Not once, but twice, bro. All my trauma was
loved self-improvement so much. You're like, fuck, I need another mountain to climb. I'm going to be the mountain.
Dude, 350 pounds because I was feeding my pain.
Yeah.
I remember the first time ballooned up to 350.
Drinking pain, feeding.
It was in college. It was all-you-can-eat buffet, going away to private school for the first time because I was a city boy. I went to community college for 2 years, and then I went away on scholarship because I did my thing in college, and I go up, and it's like fucking buffet.
All you can eat.
Like a golf course and private
when
school.
you haven't seen shit like that, you're
and then you're smoking pot and you're drinking and partying. And, I mean, 350. I mean, I'll show you a picture so you can maybe cut it into the pot just for fun. But I mean, I was a fat fuck. Yeah. And then I lost the weight because I got motivated and I lost a massive amount of weight. And I've done this before that, but that was the highest I ballooned up. So from like junior year of high school to senior year of high school, I lost like 50. Then I did it again in college. It's like fighting gravity. And then I did it again later before I had my my daughter, before my wife had my daughter. And then it was an identity shift. So 3 years ago, when I finally put down the drink, I got the clarity to realize, okay, bro, you got to change your identity. So my first Tony Robbins event that I went to, it was probably like 290. Now I'm 255, but, muscle, and I could still lose quite a bit of body fat, but I'm not obsessed with it. It was simply, I'm going to be a healthy, fit dad in my late 40s. My wife is 5 months pregnant right now, so I'm aiming for taking my children to college and walking them in there and being able to still jog around with some level of proficiency.
Somebody thinking that you're a football player coming to show up on first day. Damn straight.
Exactly. So I'm now looking at me 20 years from now. And it's crazy. You're never playing a bigger picture. So right now.
It's a lifestyle, not a result.
I've told myself that story like, bro, you're going to be fucking 67 taking your kids to college. But inadvertently, that's what's working for me. I started thinking 2 decades from now, not 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, even 2 years. I'm thinking 20 years from now.
When we measure things in too short of a time span and we're looking for the result, that can create resentment and frustration towards the process, when in reality, you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it for a look that you don't have rather than a feeling that you don't have. I move my body every day because the way that it makes me feel. Abs are cool. Looking good is cool by the pool or at the beach. All of that is fine and dandy. But what if I looked halfway decent and felt like shit because I was on?
There's plenty of people that do that.
A bunch of juice or what, you know what I mean? Like all of it, and still trying to look beach body or whatever. It gets to a point where it's like, what life do you truly want to live? And then just succumb to it. Surrender to it. If you want to move your body every day for a minimum of 60 minutes, guess what's going to happen by default? The 60 pounds, whether it's in 6 months or 6 years, it will disappear. It's just the process. You can't do good, and then bad. Now you can do good, unforeseen circumstance, bad. Check your perspective.
Back on the horse.
Maybe that was there just to challenge you to see if you're truly committed. Check your perspective.
God and the universe never seem to stop challenging me. Even right now, when everybody that doesn't know me thinks I've got it all figured out, I'm honest about not having it all figured out. Ironically, we've got some relationship issues going on. And that's because we didn't have any healthy ones around us. And as I'm growing, it's challenging me to grow in my relationship so that, we don't get out of balance.
It exposes the gap, which then you're like, okay, there's pain now because there's a big gap. I have to fill that gap.
Amen.
Now I have to get better over here. I'm good at getting better.
If your head's down and you're just focused on this thing or this result, you leave a lot of damage behind in your wake. You don't realize it because you're chasing the thing that you think is going to make you happy. But then you get there and you look back and you're like, holy shit, I got no relationship with my kids. My wife can't stand me.
Overweight, or this, or that.
Or whatever. And, for me right now, there's a wisdom that I've been given, thank God, through all the mistakes and the comebacks. And I'm just like, okay, sometimes I'll hit the brakes to make sure that gap doesn't get too far away. And then the first thing I want to do is, no, you got to keep going. And then I'm like, bro, we got plenty of time. And you got plenty of heart. You got plenty of fucking moxie. You're going to get through it. but you're not going to leave anybody that you care about in your wake. And that's really been a struggle with me. So now what I do, I surround myself not with books, but with people who have loving, happy, large families. How many kids you got?
I got 3. I'm not the typical,
Slacker.
I was good with 2. My wife twisted my arm, if you know what I mean, for that third.
My wife's arm for the third.
She's trying to twist my arm right now, bro.
Twist. How old are you?
41, dude.
What's your excuse? I'm an old man, 47. I got you. Let's go.
Jeez.
We were talking about, I saw a meme the other, or a post that said the hardest number of kids to have is 3. So me and my wife joked. It was like, what's up?
Fuck, let's skip right past it.
Ironically,
boom, boom, boom,
ironically, this baby came as a result of Zenith. Inadvertently, I'm having a conversation with one of the guys, and he looks at my phone. He's like, "Oh, you got a beautiful family. Looks like you got room for one more." I don't know. God just tapped me on the shoulder.
Hey,
I was like, "Babe,
I sent
you dinner." I was
yeah.
like, "Babe, no hesitation." It's
yeah,
fucking strange. Let's have another baby. She's like, "Yeah, right," because we were committed to just the 2, and we have the boy and the girl, and we were like, "All right,
we're going down this
shops
path
closed."
now. Yeah.
I convinced her. And there's struggles still.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who thinks the shit is going to be easy, wake the fuck up. It is going to be hard. And the more hard that you embrace, the more progress you'll make. And then you look in that rearview mirror and you're like, holy shit, I am light years away from where I started because I had the courage to step into the fear, to step into the hard thing, to untell the story of 2's good enough. Good people with good values, good morals, and the ability to earn should be having children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And they're doing it through
poverty.
They're doing it through no planning. And, I'm going to get real right now. The thing that I've discovered on this mission with my own podcast is most successful people, probably 90+%, come from a 2-parent home. Whether it was a stepdad, maybe they were there for 4 or 5 years, there's always 2 perspectives.
Yep.
90+% of the time, that made that home or that person more inclined to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I've discovered in my mission to impact the lives of 10 million inner city youth through my Real Mentors program,
that's awesome,
is the thing that's missing in inner cities, impoverished communities, but I can't speak to, the trailer park community. I'm just not familiar, but I bet you the same.
Oh, it's the same.
It's families.
Yeah.
The only way out is families.
Mm-hmm.
And when we decide to have baby moms and 2 baby daddies, and listen, life is life, and there's nothing perfect, so I'm not judging. But I'm just saying.
But if it's the 3rd or 4th, or
there's a way to make that work too.
Yeah.
There's a way to make divorce and separate families work with 2 responsible adults.
If you grow during it.
Responsible adults are far greater than someone trying to do it on their own. And I'm the product of a single mom, and I've had to undo so many things. And another thing I've discovered is that the way that we change our community, and I'm talking people of color specifically, is family structure, embracing it, and doing the work around relationships to undo the traumas, the bad learning.
Yeah.
I had to unlearn how to be the man of who was raised by a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people, poor people, let's say poor people in general, are raised in single parent households, predominantly moms, obviously, because there's very few single parent dads. They're growing up with a feminine energy they're completely unaware of. So when they show up in their adult relationships, there's a woman inside of them. And it's not disrespectful.
Yeah.
There's just the vibration and an energy of a woman in you.
We talked about programming already.
A man to teach you what a man looked like, acted like, the responsibilities they had. And it's fucking hard, and you end up running from them.
Yeah.
And for so long, I ran for them. So God bless my wife. I've been honest, this is not easy. But my wife has pushed me. She pushed me for marriage. She pushed me for children. And here I am finally at 47.
Now you're pushing her for one more. Yeah.
And if God is so inclined, maybe a 4th, so that then you can chase my record.
Yeah. Well, there's certain records that I don't want to hold, brother. You know what I mean? But I was, my dad was around till I was like 12 and then dipped out or whatever. But at the same time, just because somebody's around, and I want to make this very clear, just because there's a father around doesn't mean that that they're being a good example. Yeah. Because there was somebody in the home, but the images are chilling on the couch, eating chips and salsa, watching TV, losing job after job after job, not being responsible, not being disciplined, not really providing for his family in a manner in which he should. My mom was more of the stable one and holding down a job and, all of that.
That love for you guys that she had was connecting her to that need to do that, even though she probably had, and again, I'm really assuming here, but I saw it, my mom's boyfriends or other husbands were there for her, not for me. She never let them kind of take that role. Yeah. And she always was like, she never asked them to raise me. And we never had that kind of bond, even though I saw a few men in and out over the years. Yeah. And I just, everybody's fucking journey is different. But at some point, you, as an adult, have to commit to changing that. Mm-hmm. You have to be, like our friend's book says, you have to be the one. Yeah. If you haven't had the one show you how to be the one, you're going to have to create that. And
well, for me, I think that no matter what, you were given an example.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Doesn't matter. So, I had what I would consider a bad example. Yeah. And I don't want to be anything like that.
You had to unlearn it.
And so I resented it so much that I was like, I'm going to be opposite of him. Right. He gave me such an example of what I didn't want to be, that I rejected anything that was similar to him. Lazy, losing job after job, just not really being that honorable. So I was
you still in contact by any chance?
We didn't really communicate too much. And then he passed away like a year ago.
Fuck.
So
sorry to hear that.
To me, and it might sound harsh, but I buried him a long time ago mentally.
I got you. I was just going to come of the mind that based on what you just told me, he's still responsible for the man that you are somehow.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
It was not the healthy way. But
it wasn't. I had to figure it out myself, but at the same time, there is credit that's due. Yeah. You showed me exactly what I didn't want, so that gave me a roadmap to exactly what I do want. Just don't do those things. Yeah. So if you have a good example, great. Utilize those tools in that example to your benefit. But if you have a bad example in your life, utilize that as a roadmap of exactly what not to do. Just do the opposite of that. So either way, I believe everybody has examples. It's whether you just succumb to the environment and accept everything as is, rather than swim upstream, so to speak, and see what's up there. You know what I mean?
We all know somebody who's an alcoholic who had alcoholic parents, and we all know somebody who would never touch a drink because they had alcoholic parents.
Exactly.
So it's a choice that they made along the way. It's a choice that you made along the way. Yeah. It's a choice that I made along the way to be the man I never had. Mm-hmm. And here's the blessing I always say. Because I didn't have a father figure, I didn't have to unlearn those things. I got to design the man that I wanted to be by coming in contact with other men that I respected and seeing how they showed up for their families. And it didn't happen overnight. No. It's just happening for me in my 40s, dude. Yeah. It's never too late, man. Yeah. For anybody struggling out there, it is never too late.
Life gets better when you truly, truly want to get better and your actions show it, not just your mouth bumping gums saying, I want to get. I mean, we all know the internet. Everybody says all the right things. Like, show me behind the curtain. Show me how you.
My favorite's when somebody knows, I've done well, and I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do a lot of fucking things. Yeah. But what are you actually doing? To move the needle? On any of those.
What are you doing today?
Just talking about it. Yeah. They're just talking about it. Oh, but I don't know what to do. Just do something. And my boy Josh says we're building the plane in the air. So you commit to do something. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to do it, right? It's who, not how. You get next to
that
people.
Uncertainty and betting on yourself.
And that's it. And if you're really committed, you'll figure this shit out.
You will.
You'll figure it out. Yeah. You didn't know how you were going to run all those days in a row, but you had to run the first one and not quit to get to the second one, and so on and so forth.
Why am I worried about day 30 when I'm on day 2? I just need to figure out how to get through day 3.
Well, focusing on day 30 gives you an excuse to quit on day 2.
Yeah. Anytime that I did zoom out too far and looked at the full scope of work, it did feel overwhelming. I would get anxiety, and I had to tell myself, dude, I don't have 500 more days. I just have tomorrow. Yeah. I just have to take care of tomorrow. And then, you know what I mean? Just focus on the day. Make the day the best day ever. Lay down that brick and the wall builds itself over the next decade or whatever it may be. So how do people contact you? How do they find you? How do they get your book?
Sure. Yeah. We're on Amazon. We're on Barnes & Noble. It's Beyond the Bronx, From Prison to Purpose. You want to find me on Instagram? That's the platform you can exchange DMs with me directly. We're on Facebook, TikTok, all the others. It's The Sean Martin, THE Sean Martin, or therealseanmartin.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, be part of our community and our money mindset movement, which basically helps people change their money mindset, particularly entrepreneurs who are stuck and they're not really understanding why. It's never the numbers. It's never the Excel spreadsheets. It's always you and looking inward. And that's what we help people do, brother.
Amen. Amen. Hey,
preach.
I didn't need to be in this podcast. You know, Sean could have done a solo for you guys today. It was an absolute honor to sit down with you and speak with you and just be around somebody that every time that something on the surface appears negative, you find the positive. You look for the silver lining. You continue to make progress. You'll swim upstream for better. And why I say swim upstream is because you will have to overly exert yourself to make progress, to get better. You don't have to exert yourself to get worse. Yeah. You know, so it's
sometimes it's addition by subtraction.
That's flat out.
Get rid of the shit that ain't serving you, and you got room for all the
where
other
to start
to come in.
What are your bad habits? Yeah. Get rid of those. And
people
what
think
happens, you're going to have time, and you're going to replace them with good ones eventually. Like that.
You don't need to be binging 4 shows. You have one, and then you free up 3 hours.
Handle business,
hours,
you know. So,
thank you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast as much as me. Make sure that you subscribe to the show. Make sure you rate and review the show. And other than that, guys, keep kicking ass, and we'll see you next week.